welcome back. So today we're going to talk about creating a brand identity. First, let me just say there are lots of components that go into creating a small business. And so the idea behind this suite was to break it down for you. Otherwise, literally, I'd be sat here chatting for hours. So whether you follow the whole journey or pick and choose the videos that are relevant to you at the time, come back. It's a pool of reference for you. So, creating a brand identity. What do I even mean by a brand identity? How will people recognize you? Your name, your font, how you look, how you feel, any sort of communication with your customers, potential customers, how will they know that it's you? Let's explore. So, name, bake with loose. Now, there's a story behind this because, as I said in other videos, there were lots of little threads going on that kind of over time knitted together. In fact, there's a brilliant book by Matthew McConaughey called Green Lights. These little flashes that if you're not really looking, don't mean anything and sort of pass you by. And when I reflect back now, there were all these little beacons, these green lights that I just hadn't noticed. So Bake with Loose as a name existed. It was something that I had created by accident. In my old job, I used to do a lot of baking, and I'd take things, for people's birthdays and stuff. But around Christmas, I'd made either gingerbread men or I'd flip them upside down to make reindeers, with the legs as the ears. And I took them into work, and someone said, "Oh, Lou, could you teach me how to make those?" So I'm like, "Yeah, okay," but never to do anything by half measure. I created an event out of it. I think there was maybe a dozen of my friends from work I invited around. I'd written out the recipe. I'd had little stations set up around the kitchen, got some wine in, made some food, put on some music and disco lights, and I put it in the diary as Bake with Loose, and we did this. In fact, it became the coveted social event of the year. We did this for 5 years in a row. Bake with Loose. Everyone would come round. My friends, one in particular, I remember for the first year, stood with a bowl and a spoon, and she's like, "Loose, what do I do?" Anyway, she can now bake gingerbread men. Win. If you want to have a look at any of this, then the hashtag Bake with Loose on Instagram is so funny. As I said, we did this for 5 years. So that was a name that existed. Now, at the same time as that, I remember back to my first job in a marketing agency, and there was a guy there, and he set up an online beauty products website, which now is hugely successful. But I read an interview years ago, and he said, if I'd have realised that this little e-com project that I started was going to be so successful, he said, I'd have spent more than 5 minutes thinking of a name. He's since rebranded the company, but what occurred to me and what is evidenced in my business was that the success of the business was not dependent solely on the name. And so I didn't spend more than 5 minutes. I had a name, and that's what I went with. And it doesn't seem to have harmed me thus far. I can only share with you the things that I've done that I know that have worked for me. It's not to say that it's all right. There are designers probably sat there going, it is what it is, right? I also, that if you've signed up to my YouTube account where these videos are hosted, it's actually titled ... with Loose. Now, for some reason, call it intuition or whatever it is, I just had in my mind that what I was going to do was not just Bake with Loose. And so on TikTok, I have set up this separate account, Biz with Loose, that mentally for me sits under this umbrella of With the Loose. It allowed me scope to explore other things, but under the same brand, if you like. And certainly, you know, Bake with Loose, as the name would imply, like the classes then that I did, possibly something to explore. I haven't yet. Have I thought about it? Absolutely. So there's room to maneuver, but it's not dependent on the name. So if you have an idea for a business and you'll think, obviously it needs to relate in some way to the thing that you're doing, or maybe not. There's a fascinating thing I saw around food places, and something like, I don't know, zap sounds kind of pointy, and blubber sounds kind of more softer, you know. There's all sorts of psychology to thinking of name. Mine, it was what I put in the calendar for my friends, Bake with Loose. And that was just the start of creating a brand identity. I had a name. Come back tomorrow and we'll continue with brand identity, because there are some exercises that somebody set me that I did that I'll share with you that were really useful in building out more than just a name, you know, a logo and the colours and what it looks like. Wait, Bake with Loose. So, crikey, I've whittled on about just a name. Anyway, look, come back tomorrow about brand identity, because yeah, there are some exercises, there are some things you can actually do that will help to create your brand identity. Much love. Mwah.